Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jumper, and today I'm doing my top 5 favorite fire type Pokemon. Now, with fire types, I feel like each of the fire types all have their own unique designs, even some of the bad ones. And I feel like with each generation, there was always going to be different fire types being brought in, like the starters, and then maybe some of the more later ones you might find on different routes, that sort of thing. And I feel like for this list, with the fire types I'm going to be talking about, I think with these ones, when it comes, I think it's mainly due to the designs, the types, that sort of thing. So yeah. So for number five is Charizard. Now I know this is a typical choice to have, if you're talking about fire, not only fire types, but maybe Pokemon as a whole, because Charizard is quite iconic. I would say he's like one in terms of the Pokemon that we've seen, in the Pokemon series. He's up there with like Pokemon like Pikachu, and I'm going to be very quick with this reason, but I feel like with Charizard, I think it's because of his design, and I do like his like huge, draconic look. I know he's not technically a dragon with a whole fire flying type, but I do like how in Pokemon X and Y, with his Mega X form, he does become a dragon type for a limited amount of time. But yeah, I think with Charizard, I do like one, its evolutionary line from starting with Charmander, then Charmeleon, and then Charizard. I do like how with each form it keeps the fire on its tail, and that's quite cool. And it kind of reminds me how in Generation 4 we got something similar with that with the Chimchar line. So Chimchar, then Monferno, then Infernape. With Infernape, him having this huge flame of hair on the top of his head. That's quite cool. But with Charizard, I just like his design. I do like how it's just a really iconic fire type, and it kind of like sets the stage for future fire types, not only in Generation 1, but in future generations. So yeah, for number 4, it's Chandelure. Now, this Pokemon, I feel like, is one of those sort of mysterious looking Pokemon, because it's part not only fire type, but also part ghost type. And I feel like because it's mainly this hanging chandelier, and because it's part ghost type, it adds to the mystery. Like it's basically just a ghost chandelier, and it's just I feel like there's I think the mystery is in there. Like, do chandeliers have a soul? Can the souls of a chandelier die or something like that? And it just feels like a ghost type that does fit. It really does fit the whole fire ghost type thing really well. And I do like how it has multiple fire slits on part of its body. Like mainly, it's like the 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 one of those metal bar bits with the candles on them. And I think it also has like a main fire bit on the top of its head. And yeah, it's just one of those really weird to look at Pokemon, I would say, from when I look at Chandelure, and yeah, it's just one of those really weird looking, and even as a creepy looking Pokemon. So yeah, for number three is Ninetales. So when I said about how Chandelure had that sort of mysterious, almost basically a mysterious look to it, and probably a bit of a creepy side to it. I would say the opposite with Ninetales, because Ninetales has this more majestic look to it, and I do like how it's basically this just nine-tailed fox that can just spew fire, and I think it's based on some sort of fairy tale fox or something in a mythology somewhere. I think it's either I'm not 100% sure where, but there'll probably be if I do try and I'll probably try and find it. I'll probably leave a link to it in the description below on what Ninetales is based on. But with Ninetales, I just really like the majestic side to it, and I do really like how when you look at Vulpix and how it becomes Ninetales. It becomes cute and like this cute little fluffy fox Pokemon into this more majestic, larger Pokemon. And yeah, it's just one of those Pokemon that I feel like it feels like you can connect to it in terms of like you can bond with it if it's your Pokemon and something like that. And yeah, even with Alolan Ninetales and even Alolan Vulpix, they both feel cute and majestic in their own way. Even though they're technically the same Pokemon, they do have different designs and types of them, with normal Ninetales being a fire type and Alolan Ninetales being ice fairy type. So yeah, for number 2 is Houndoom. Now Houndoom is a really, I think, is like probably one of my favorites when it comes to fire types, and even probably dark types as well, because it's a fire dark type. And I feel like this Pokemon, I do like is like how it looks intimidating, because I think it's but also sort of harmless. I don't know how to describe Houndoom, because he's got the horns, he's got the tail to him, but I feel like if trained right, Houndoom could be a very good Pokemon to use if Houndoom was used in real life. Because you look at Houndour, even though Houndour has that sort of like not as much intimidation as Houndoom, but still a bit of intimidation. It still looks cute, and you could try and train it. I feel like with Houndoom, you have to like try and bond with it a lot, and I feel like in time Houndoom can be this sort of like cool looking Pokemon. It does. I think its design does make it a lot more edgy in places, like the horns, as I said before, the tail. But I feel like when it comes to Mega Houndoom, the edge just goes all the way off the scale. So yeah, but overall, I do like Houndoom. I think he's one of those Pokemon that's just really cool, and I think even though there's a lot of edge to it, I feel like it's still just a fascinating Pokemon to look at. So yeah. And for number 1 is Volcarona. Now with Volcarona, I feel like it's kind of similar to how with Ninetales, in that I think its design looks majestic, and I feel like one of the reasons that is mainly due to its typing, that being it's a bug fire type. And I really think it really helps with the whole design of Volcarona, because it's basically this giant moth looking Pokemon, and the only other bug fire type that I can think of at the moment is its pre-evolution Larvesta, and I don't think there is any other bug fire type since Generation 5. I could be wrong, but with Volcarona, I think it's one of those Pokemon that you will, if Pokemon were brought into the real world, Volcarona is one of those Pokemon you could see out in the wild, just minding his own business and stuff like that. And yeah, Volcarona is one of those really, I say, Pokemon that just feels majestic, and you'll be sort of starstruck when you see one. And I think it's just one of those Pokemon that just feels like it just feels majestic, and it just feels like one of those Pokemon that you could see in the real world if it was brought into our world. Even though it's just a giant fire moth, it still looks cool, and I think its design really helps it, because I do like how you've got the main body, which looks just basically just a giant moth thing, and then when it comes to the wings, it's kind of like wings you would see like on a normal insect, but they're like red, almost like they're in autumn in terms of the leaves and stuff like that, and it looks like they're on fire, the wings. And I think those two things really help with this design, and I do like how around its head it's got like this sort of like fluff sort of thing. And yeah, I think overall, Volcarona, I don't think you can add anything more to Volcarona when it comes to designs and stuff like that. So yeah, I think Volcarona is one of those very interesting looking Pokemon that feels majestic and feels like a rarity to see when it comes to like if you want to try and find one in like if you were living in the Pokemon world, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's been my top 5 favorite fire type Pokemon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.